What is up, Dub Nation? Things are heating up in the Bay, and we've got ourselves a fresh chapter in the ongoing Jonathan Kuminga saga. And look, if you've been following the Golden State Warriors this offseason, then you already know it's been quiet. Like too quiet. Golden State is the only team in the entire league that hasn't made a single move yet, and with training camp creeping closer, the tension is building. But right now, all eyes are locked on Kuminga, and the conversation around him just took another twist. So here's the deal. We've finally got confirmation that talks have resumed between the Warriors and Kuminga's camp. Yeah, that's right. After weeks of complete radio silence, the two sides are actually talking again. Now, before anyone gets too excited, this doesn't mean a deal is done. Far from it. But at least there's dialogue, and that's more than we had a month ago. Sources say they've exchanged ideas, contract concepts, even their feelings about the whole situation. It's something. Not everything, but something. Now, let's rewind just a little bit. We were in a stretch where Golden State and Kuminga hadn't had any discussions for nearly a month. That's pretty wild when you consider the fact that this is a player who was supposed to be a cornerstone of the franchise's future. But now, with that qualifying offer deadline on October 1st looming large, something had to give. And according to insiders, Kuminga is seriously considering accepting that qualifying offer. And if he does, he gains full control over his future. A one-year deal, no trade clause, and unrestricted free agency in the summer of 2026. From a leverage standpoint, that would be a bold move, and it would send a strong message. Here's where things get complicated. There's a growing sense, and this is coming from people close to the team, that Kuminga believes he deserves a massive deal. Like, not just starter money, but borderline max contract type of money. And apparently, he sees himself in the same tier as guys like Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes. We're talking young stars who've already proven they can be franchise players. That's the level Kuminga believes he's on. But here's the catch. He hasn't shown that yet. Not consistently. Not in Golden State's system. And that's where the tension lies. On one side, you've got a player who's betting on himself, confident that he's ready to be the guy somewhere. On the other, you've got a team that still sees him as unproven, and maybe even a bit of a project. The front office isn't just going to hand out a bag because of potential. This is a team that's trying to win now while still preparing for the future, and Kuminga's camp seems to believe he's being treated like a pawn in that bigger chess game. Let's talk about that word, pawn. That's the label coming out of Kuminga's camp. They feel like he's being moved around as just another trade chip, not a core piece, not a future leader, just a name to be included in whatever package helps Golden State land a more immediate contributor. And listen, if you've watched how the Warriors have handled young talent over the past few years, you can kind of see where that mindset comes from. There's been a pattern of giving the vets all the run while the young guys sit, watch, and wait. And in Kuminga's case, he's waited long enough. From a team's perspective, though, this isn't just about ego or player development. This is about fit. Kuminga has all the tools, size, athleticism, defensive upside, but the consistency hasn't been there. And when you're playing alongside Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, you can't afford to be figuring it out in real time. Every possession matters. Every mistake is magnified. So while Kuminga might thrive in a different system where he has more freedom and more touches, Golden State's system demands precision. And so far, it just hasn't clicked the way they hoped. And here's another layer. Reports keep surfacing that Kuminga straight up doesn't want to be in Golden State anymore. Like that ship has sailed. He doesn't believe he can become the player he wants to be in this environment. And honestly, that's fair. If you're a guy trying to develop into a star, it's hard to do that when you're constantly deferring to Hall of Famers. It's not about disrespecting Curry or the vets. It's about realizing you're not going to be option 1, 2, or even 3. You're just not. Now, contrast that with what we're hearing from ownership, and especially Joe Lacob. According to recent reports, Lacob is still fully behind Kuminga. He sees him as part of a long-term vision. He's the reason, reportedly, why Kuminga wasn't included in trade talks over the last couple of years. Joe believes in the kid. He's invested. He thinks there's star potential there. But the problem is he might be the only one in the organization who feels that strongly. When you hear insiders say things like, nobody in the building believes Kuminga can take the mantle from Steph, that's pretty telling. So now we've got this weird situation. You got ownership holding out hope. You got a player who wants out. You got a front office that seems ready to move on, and you've got a coaching staff that hasn't fully committed to developing him. That's not a recipe for long-term success. That's a slow-motion breakup. Everyone knows it's coming, but no one wants to be the one to say it out loud. And then there's the contract situation. The Warriors reportedly have an offer on the table. 2 years, $45 million, but only the first year is fully guaranteed. The second year would be a team option. That structure would trigger a no-trade clause if Kuminga signs it, unless he waives it. And that's a big if. On the other hand, if Kuminga just signs the qualifying offer, 1 year at $7.9 million, he gets a no-trade clause automatically, and he walks into unrestricted free agency next summer. But here's the thing. The qualifying offer is a risky move. History shows that players who go that route rarely get the huge deal they expect the following summer. They often end up taking short-term, lower-value deals because the market dries up or because their perceived value doesn't match the contract they turned down. Kuminga's team knows this. The Warriors know this. That's why, right now, Golden State is calling his bluff. They're daring him to take that qualifying offer, confident that he won't risk leaving millions on the table just to prove a point. And now, with other teams around the league making moves, the window for a surprise offer sheet from a third party has basically closed. The Brooklyn Nets were one of the only teams with the cap flexibility to outbid Golden State. But after taking on Haywood Highsmith in a trade, their available cap space just disappeared. That means the Warriors are no longer under threat from an external offer. They've got full control of the situation, at least for now. So what happens next? Do the Warriors cave and sweeten the deal to keep him happy? Does Kuminga blink first and accept a less-than-ideal offer just to get out of this standoff? Or do both sides dig in until the deadline and force a messy resolution? Right now, it's anyone's guess. But make no mistake, this is the defining storyline of Golden State's offseason. Not just because of the drama, but because of what it says about the direction of the franchise. And the truth is, the Warriors have not figured out how to balance that transition. You can't be all in on the present and fully committed to the future at the same time. Something's got to give. And for Jonathan Kuminga, it feels like he's the casualty of a plan that never had real clarity. He was drafted with upside in mind, brought into a championship locker room, and expected to somehow develop while playing behind Hall of Famers who aren't exactly in the business of slowing down for the sake of development. Imagine being 21 years old, a top pick, knowing what you're capable of, and still watching from the bench while veterans with declining legs get the benefit of the doubt night after night. That wears on a player. That builds frustration. And eventually, that frustration spills out into contract negotiations and media leaks and trade rumors. It becomes personal. And once it's personal, it's hard to walk that back. You can sense it in the way the messaging has shifted. Early in his career, the tone around Kuminga was full of optimism. He was the future, a building block, next in line. But now, he's being framed as a problem. Too confident, too entitled, too unrealistic. And maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe his expectations are out of sync with his production. But when you peel back the layers, you see that a lot of the disconnect here comes from how he's been handled. Kuminga hasn't been developed in a way that matches his skill set. He hasn't been empowered. He's been plugged into lineups as a role player, given short bursts of minutes with unclear responsibilities, and then yanked the moment he made a mistake. That's not how you build confidence. That's how you break a player's rhythm. And while some guys can adjust and thrive anyway, not everyone fits that mold. Especially not someone who thrives on instinct and athleticism the way Kuminga does. And here's the irony. When he has gotten consistent minutes, he's shown flashes of being a real contributor. There were stretches last season where he was one of Golden State's most effective players. He brought energy. He attacked the rim. He played solid defense. But even then, his role remained in flux. One night, he's starting. The next, he's back on the bench. And you can only ride that roller coaster so many times before you start thinking, maybe this isn't the place for me. But while Kuminga has his frustrations, the Warriors also have their reasons for hesitation. They've been through this before, high potential young guys not panning out. Think about James Wiseman. Think about how much time, energy, and resources they put into developing him, only for that experiment to fall apart. That stung. That made the front office cautious. So now, with Kuminga, there's this undercurrent of, we've seen this movie before, and they're trying to be smarter this time. But being cautious sometimes looks a lot like being noncommittal. And that, in turn, breeds resentment from the player. That's why we're stuck in this holding pattern. Neither side fully trusts the other. Kuminga doesn't trust the Warriors to give him the role he wants. The Warriors don't trust Kuminga to be the player they need. And that's why this whole thing is dragging out into the final weeks before the deadline. They're dancing around the same conversation over and over again, but nobody's budging. Then, of course, there's the Joe Lacob factor, the wild card in all of this. Joe is the guy who handpicked Kuminga. He's been his biggest believer inside the organization, and reportedly he's still pushing for the team to keep him long-term. In fact, one report said he's told Kuminga directly that he wants him to be a Warrior for the foreseeable future. That's a bold stance, especially when the coaching staff doesn't seem to agree. And you have to wonder, is this genuine belief in Kuminga's upside, or is it about pride? Is Joe trying to prove that his vision was right all along? And that tension between ownership and the rest of the basketball ops team, it's real. From everything we've heard, most people inside the building don't see Kuminga as the guy to carry the franchise post-Steph. They see him as a useful piece, maybe a trade asset, but not a foundational star. And that matters. Because if the people coaching you and building the roster around you don't believe in you at that level, it's hard to stick around and thrive. So what do the Warriors do? They got a player they don't want to lose for nothing, but who also doesn't seem to want to be there. They've got a contract on the table that's structured to protect them, but not one that shows full commitment. And they've got an owner who's all in on the kid, but a staff that seems ready to move on. It's a mess. It's the kind of situation that needs a clean break. And yet, here we are, waiting for something to finally give. And the clock is ticking. October 1st isn't that far off. That's when the qualifying offer expires. If Kuminga signs it, this becomes a lame duck season. A year of awkward vibes and looming free agency. If he declines it, and no other deal gets made, then the Warriors have to start scrambling to trade him before the deadline. But that's risky too. His value could drop. Injuries could happen. The tension in the locker room could boil over. It's not a great scenario for anyone. Now let's not forget, while all this is unfolding, the Warriors still have an offseason to complete. They've got other roster spots to fill. They've got veteran free agents in their sights. And for a while, it looked like they were waiting on Kuminga's situation to make those moves. But now, after Brooklyn used up their cap flexibility, the Warriors are no longer under threat of losing Kuminga to an offer sheet. That gives them breathing room. That means they can proceed with their off-season plans, even if the Kuminga deal stays in limbo. We've heard names like Al Horford connected to Golden State, a veteran presence who could come in on the taxpayer mid-level exception. There's also talk of DeAnthony Melton joining on a vet minimum deal, and Gary Payton too, returning for more defensive depth. Even Seth Curry, yes, Steph's brother, has been floated as a potential addition. And while that would be a fun story, word is the team leans more toward GP2 because of his defensive versatility and familiarity with the system. But the bigger point is, the Warriors can now make these moves without waiting for the Kuminga domino to fall. The financial risk is lower. The external pressure is gone. And in some ways, that puts even more leverage in their hands. They can afford to wait him out. They can see if he blinks first. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the smartest play. And maybe, just maybe, this is the off-season where we stop talking about the bridge between eras and start seeing a real shift. Whether that includes Jonathan Kuminga or not is the question that still doesn't have an answer. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers have been swirling around the NBA corridors for weeks, and now the news is finally official. Al Horford, the seasoned veteran known for his intelligence, versatility, and relentless work ethic, has officially been announced as a member of the Golden State Warriors. The announcement has ignited a flurry of speculation, gossip, and outright excitement among fans and analysts alike, as everyone tries to imagine the impact a player of Horford's caliber could have on a team already brimming with talent and championship aspirations. Known for his ability to anchor a defense while maintaining a polished offensive game, Horford's arrival is being interpreted as a strategic masterstroke by the Warriors' management, a signal that the team is prepared to leave no stone unturned in its quest for dominance in the paint. The rumor mills are already working overtime, with insiders suggesting that his presence could revolutionize the team's interior defense and spacing, potentially creating opportunities for stars like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson to operate with even more freedom. Conversations are buzzing in locker rooms, online forums, and sports talk shows, painting a vivid picture of a team poised to take its game to unprecedented levels. The anticipation is palpable, and speculation about lineups, rotations, and coaching adjustments has reached a fever pitch, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. The chatter surrounding Horford's signing is not just about statistics or past performances. It is about the aura he brings to the court, an intangible leadership that reportedly elevates everyone around him. Observers are noting that his experience in high-pressure playoff situations could prove invaluable to the Warriors, especially in clutch moments where games are decided by razor-thin margins. Rumors hint that head coach Steve Kerr has been in private discussions with Horford for months, exploring how to maximize his unique combination of size, vision, and basketball IQ. Analysts are already speculating on how Horford's ability to guard multiple positions might free up the Warriors' defensive schemes, allowing them to switch seamlessly without compromising stability. Fans are buzzing about the potential pick-and-roll combinations, defensive rotations, and rebounding dominance that could emerge, imagining a lineup where Horford serves as both a reliable rim protector and a facilitator who can create shots for others. In addition, whispers suggest that his mentorship of younger players, particularly forwards and centers, could accelerate their development, fostering a culture of professionalism and high basketball IQ that resonates well beyond the immediate season. The intrigue surrounding his fit, role, and impact has become a focal point of conversations, fueling speculation about whether this move could finally solidify the Warriors' interior presence. Speculators are already imagining scenarios where Horford's arrival could tip the balance of power in the Western Conference, with rival teams scrambling to adjust to a new reality. Rumors suggest that the Warriors might experiment with unconventional lineups, integrating Horford into both starting and bench configurations to exploit mismatches and strategic advantages. Sports talk shows are abuzz with theories about his potential chemistry with Draymond Green, whose defensive versatility might complement Horford's ability to protect the rim, potentially creating a defensive juggernaut. There are whispers of Horford taking on an enhanced role in late-game situations, controlling tempo, securing crucial rebounds, and executing high-percentage passes under pressure. Fans are already envisioning highlight reels of his signature blocks, precise mid-range shooting, and calm decision-making in chaotic moments. Analysts are weighing how his presence could alleviate pressure on other stars, allowing them to conserve energy for critical stretches. Meanwhile, speculation about his leadership influence continues to dominate conversations, with insiders claiming that Horford's calm demeanor and championship mindset might instill a renewed sense of discipline and focus within the locker room. Every rumor, every speculative report, every imagined scenario contributes to a growing narrative. Horford is poised to redefine what the Warriors' frontcourt can achieve in both regular season and playoff contexts. Beyond the court, social media is aflame with conjecture about the broader implications of Horford joining Golden State. Fan pages, discussion threads, and comment sections are overflowing with predictions, imagined highlight plays, and debates about how he fits within the Warriors system. Rumors indicate that the team's management sees Horford not just as a player, but as a cornerstone for building a more resilient, adaptable roster capable of challenging emerging threats in the league. Speculation about potential trades, salary adjustments, and strategic acquisitions is already gaining momentum, with insiders suggesting that Horford's veteran presence could open doors for other moves by creating flexibility in rotations and cap management. Conversations are rife with hypothetical matchups against powerhouse teams, pondering whether Horford's versatility could turn the tide in key playoff battles. Analysts are also debating how his ability to stretch the floor and operate in high-post situations might give the Warriors a tactical edge, complicating defensive assignments for opponents. As the rumor mill churns, the excitement seems to feed on itself, generating a whirlwind of enthusiasm, conjecture, and anticipation. Fans are not just speculating. They are imagining a complete transformation of the team's identity, one where dominance in the paint becomes a defining feature and strategic brilliance is amplified by Horford's presence. At the heart of this swirling storm of rumors is a sense of anticipation tinged with wonder about how Horford's career trajectory will intersect with the Warriors' aspirations. Analysts are discussing potential rotations, minute allocations, and tactical adjustments with near-obsessive focus, projecting how even minor shifts could yield outsized outcomes. Speculative reports suggest that Horford's experience in reading the game, making split-second decisions, and controlling the tempo could provide the Warriors with a critical advantage in high-stakes playoff scenarios. Fans are buzzing with theories about how his arrival could affect the dynamics of team leadership, on-court communication, and even off-court culture. Rumors hint at his influence extending into mentoring roles, strategic planning sessions, and locker room morale, suggesting that Horford's impact may go far beyond what shows up in the stat sheet. As the speculation intensifies, commentators are positing bold predictions about his ability to dominate the paint, orchestrate efficient offensive possessions, and neutralize elite opposing big men. The rumor mill portrays a vision of Golden State not just as a collection of talent, but as a cohesive, strategically optimized unit enhanced by Horford's intelligence and poise. Excitement, conjecture, and anticipation continue to grow as fans and I stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.